What if the phone in your pocket right now is running the exact same AI trick as the most expensive laptop Apple has ever sold? Not a similar trick. The same one, down to the architecture. I'm talking about a neural accelerator baked into every single GPU core, and it's sitting inside both the A19 Pro in your iPhone and the M5 Max in a 16-inch MacBook Pro that costs more than most people's rent. Let's start with the number that should stop you cold. 18 CPU cores. That's what the M5 Max is packing. The A19 Pro? 6. That's not a close race. That's not even the same sport. Now flip to graphics. A19 Pro tops out around 6 GPU cores depending on which iPhone you're holding. The M5 Max can be configured with 40. And before you write that off as marketing fluff, sit with the memory numbers for a second, because this is where it gets genuinely absurd. The A19 Pro runs 12 gigabytes of RAM. The M5 Max can be built out to 128 gigabytes. And memory bandwidth, the actual highway data travels on inside the chip, sits around 75 gigabytes per second on the A19 Pro. The M5 Max hits 614, almost 9 times the throughput. So here's the part that should be making you pause. If the M5 Max obliterates the A19 Pro on every meaningful spec, why does Apple keep talking about them like they're cousins? Why does the marketing lean so hard into shared architecture when the actual numbers look like a boxing match between a middleweight and a heavyweight? That question right there is the whole story. And once you understand the answer, you'll never look at your iPhone the same way again. Here's the real secret, and it's not really a secret Apple is hiding. It's just one they're not shouting loud enough. Every single GPU core on both of these chips has its own dedicated neural accelerator built directly into it. Not a separate AI chip bolted onto the side. Not a shared neural engine that the whole system has to wait in line for. Every core gets its own personal AI brain. Think about what that actually means for a second. The old way of doing this was one central AI engine handling requests from the entire system, like one manager trying to answer questions from 100 employees at once. Bottleneck City. The new way, the way both these chips are built, is like giving every single worker their own smart assistant that already knows what to do. No waiting, no queue. Everything speeds up simultaneously because the intelligence is distributed instead of centralized. And this is where the story stops being about specs and starts being about physics, because physics is the real villain and hero of this entire comparison. An iPhone is a sealed slab of glass and metal, no moving parts, no airflow, nowhere to put a fan even if Apple wanted one. A MacBook Pro sits open on a desk with actual fans spinning inside it, pushing air across the chip like a tiny engine bay. That difference, fans versus no fans, is the entire reason these two chips can share a blueprint and still live in completely different universes of performance. The M5 Max uses active cooling, real moving air, which lets it sustain massive power draw for hours without melting itself down. The A19 Pro can't do that, so Apple engineered something honestly kind of brilliant instead: a vapor chamber. It's passive, no moving parts, just a tiny amount of liquid that evaporates and condenses to spread heat across the chip fast. It's genuinely clever engineering. But it cannot compete with a spinning fan when it comes to raw heat dissipation over long stretches, and that's not a flaw. That's the entire design philosophy playing out exactly as intended. Now here's where I want to push back a little on how people are talking about this online, because I think everyone's underselling the iPhone side of this comparison. Yes, the M5 Max wins on paper in almost every category, but go look at the actual benchmark data. The A19 Pro running Genshin Impact at max settings barely breaks 43 degrees Celsius and sips power at around 5 watts average. That's a phone running a demanding mobile title without becoming a hand warmer. Compare that to what happens when Assassin's Creed Mirage, a genuine console-level AAA title, gets thrown at it. Frame rate dips into the 30s under heavy load. That's the ceiling showing itself in real time, And it's happening specifically because there's no fan spinning inside that aluminum shell. Meanwhile, the M5 Max is out here posting DaVinci Resolve export times of 3 minutes and 49 seconds on footage that would make a mid-range Windows laptop sit there and think about its life choices. And here's a stat that genuinely surprised me. In GPU benchmark scoring, the M5 Max with its full 40-core configuration is outscoring an RTX 5070 while plugged in, not matching it, beating it. That's a laptop chip from Apple outperforming a dedicated NVIDIA graphics card that gamers specifically buy because it's supposed to be the muscle in the room. If you told me that 5 years ago, I would have laughed you out of the conversation. So let's talk about the controversial part, because I don't think this comparison is actually fair to either chip, and here's why. The A19 Pro isn't a watered-down M5 Max. That framing is lazy. It's a completely different engineering solution built around completely different constraints. And comparing raw core counts without acknowledging that is like judging a sprinter and a marathon runner by the same stopwatch. The iPhone chip is optimized for short, explosive bursts of performance inside a device that has to survive being sat on, dropped, and stuffed into a warm pocket for 10 hours a day. The MacBook chip is optimized for sustained brutal output because it's sitting on a desk with a cooling system specifically engineered to keep it screaming at full power for as long as you need it to. Same DNA, wildly different bodies. Think of the A19 Pro like a Porsche 911, ridiculously capable, but still built for red lights and daily driving. The M5 Max is a Formula One car, built for exactly one purpose, full throttle, nothing held back, and it needs a pit crew, or in this case, a cooling fan and 128 gigs of RAM, just to hit its stride. You wouldn't judge a Porsche for not lapping a racetrack as fast as an F1 car, and honestly, you shouldn't judge the A19 Pro for not matching a chip that's allowed to consume 80 times the sustained power it does. But here's what actually connects these two chips beyond marketing language. And I think it's the more important story buried underneath all these benchmark charts. Apple didn't just slap similar branding on two different products. They genuinely shrank a workstation-grade AI philosophy down into something that fits in your jean pocket. That vapor chamber. That laser-welded aerospace aluminum frame that conducts heat 20 times better than the old titanium edges, that's not incremental engineering. That's Apple taking lessons learned from building chips that live inside desks with fans and cramming the smartest parts of that design into a device that has absolutely no room for error. And that's really the theory I keep coming back to. This isn't just about which chip wins a spec sheet fight, because obviously the Max variant wins. It's a bigger, hungrier, more expensive piece of silicon built for people editing 8K footage and training local AI models. The real story is that the wall between phone chips and professional workstation chips is dissolving in real time, and we're watching it happen generation by generation. The neural accelerator sitting in your iPhone's GPU cores today is a direct descendant of ideas Apple first proved out in machines built for Hollywood editors and machine learning researchers. And the efficiency tricks Apple is forced to invent for phones, tricks born out of having zero room for fans, zero room for excess heat, zero margin for error, keep flowing back upstream into how they build the monster chips too. So if a phone chip is already borrowing tricks from a workstation processor that costs literally 40 times more, and a workstation chip is starting to inherit the efficiency obsession born entirely out of phone constraints, where does this actually end? Because if the gap between what fits in your pocket and what sits on a professional editor's desk keeps shrinking at this rate, I genuinely don't think anyone, including Apple, knows exactly where that ceiling is anymore.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the latest update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.